from reading one book a year to 19 last year. But to be honest, those numbers don't really matter, because the most impressive thing about that for me is that I read more than I used to, way more than I thought that I would. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing the 3 things that help me just read more. So whether you're looking to just start reading or looking to read more than you already do, whether you want to finish 1 book this year or 100, I hope this video helps. Hello everyone, it's Mariella. Welcome to my channel. A couple of years ago, I was spending too much time on Netflix on my phone, and I decided that I wanted to fill that time with something entertaining but also rewarding. I wanted a hobby that gave back, to be entertained but not feel so guilty about it. And that's what basically drove me to start reading. And initially I wasn't sure if I should do this video because I'm not a booktuber, not a book talker. I wouldn't even consider myself a good reader in some ways, because a lot of the times I lose focus, I get distracted, and I don't read the classics or literary masterpieces, let's say. But then I thought that's exactly why I should be doing this video, to inspire anyone to read and to also enjoy it, because anyone can start reading and everyone deserves books. And that's why reading is so great. It's not about being well read or reading the best-selling novels. It could be a fun experience that lets you escape, teaches you something new, or just lets you enjoy a really good story. So today I'm going to be sharing the 3 things that help me not only read more but also want to read. The first tip is set time to read. And I know that might sound like a given, it might seem like the most basic tip, but it's honestly so important, because without setting time aside, sometimes it's so easy for reading to just get pushed aside by everything else. Like I mentioned earlier, I wanted to start reading again because I wanted to reduce my screen time, to fill my downtime with something that was better for me. So whenever I had free time, instead of reaching for my phone, I would try to pick up a book instead. And for me, one of the best times to read turned out to be before bed. It was quite hard at first to replace doom scrolling with reading, because especially just being on TikTok is so different at night. It just feels so much more fun. But before bed really was a good time for me to read because I had that downtime. So I just dedicated some nights to read. And then I found that I actually slept so much better after reading a book instead of going on my phone. And I know for some it might be really hard to find time to read, but even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes a day, you're still giving reading a place in your routine. Also, if you spend a lot of time on Netflix, YouTube, TikTok, you can take some of that screen time to read instead, because reading can be just as relaxing and entertaining. So that is my first tip, and that really helped me be serious about making reading part of my routine. Set time to read even in small chunks and make reading part of your routine so that it's sustainable. My next tip is have books readily available. Make reading more convenient. You're more likely to do something if you make it part of your environment. You can do this by making sure that your book is always within reach. If you're at home, for example, have your book in the room that you're going to be in the most. If I know I'm going to be downstairs in the living room most of the day, my book will be there, so it's just easier for me to grab it and read. Also, bring your book with you whenever you can. Whenever I go into Central, about 90% of the times I bring my book. You just never know when you have time to read. You could be reading on the commute, whenever you're waiting for someone. A book can be a really good company. Another thing that made it easier for me to just pick up a book and start reading is my Kindle. I still read physical books, and my reading journey did start with physical books, but getting a Kindle did make reading a little bit more accessible for me. It's so much easier to hold and it's so much easier to carry around. It also makes it more comfortable and more convenient for me to read in certain situations. For example, in bed, it's so much easier for me to read with a Kindle. Also, when I'm drinking coffee, I could just be reading my Kindle in one hand and holding my coffee in another. I obviously wouldn't recommend getting a Kindle if you just started reading, or if you're not sure that you're going to be committed to reading, because it is an investment. But if you are committed and you're finding that you're reading more books, it might be a good option, because it also helps you save space. And another way to make reading more convenient is to actually listen to your books. Audiobooks are such a great way to get into a book because it's so easy to do, and it also means that you're able to do it whilst doing other things if you're busy. You could be doing the most mundane thing, your chores, commuting, and your mind is just in a different world. There are also some trials that you can sign up to, like Audible and BookBub, that will allow you to try and test this out. Have books readily available, make it more convenient. Last but definitely not least, tip 3, read what you like. This was the most effective tip for me. It's the one that got me into reading more because I wanted to. If you're reading for fun as a hobby, it shouldn't feel like a chore. Read something that you find interesting and exciting. And I know it might sound like a no-brainer, but honestly, you don't always realize how powerful it is when you find that one genre, one trope, one style of storytelling that just keeps you hooked, and then you're addicted. For me, thrillers started it all. I've always loved thrillers, shows, films, podcasts. I love a good mystery, especially if it's fast-paced and has a good twist. Freida McFadden was one of the authors that really snowballed my obsession with thrillers. She has so many thriller mystery books, like The Housemaid, which is being turned into a film. Her books are fast-paced, easy to read popcorn thrillers that sometimes has a twist. They're not literary masterpieces. Sometimes I'm like, what am I reading? But sometimes you're just in a mood to read an easy but intriguing book. A book that you really want to know what happens next, so you just keep reading. If you're in a reading slump, or if you're new to reading, the point isn't to read the best written, dense, romance novel, it's to enjoy what you read. I don't really read a lot of Freida McFadden books now, but she definitely sparked that initial excitement for me. I was able to finish her books within a few days just because I really wanted to know what happened, and it was an easy read. And from there I was able to explore other authors and different styles of writing that I liked. And that's what I really love about reading. When I'm really interested in a story, not only does it make me want to read more, but I also find myself thinking about that book when I'm not reading. I think about the characters, the world, the story, and just the idea of me picking up the book makes me excited. So read a book that you genuinely like the sound of, a book that draws you into its world, whether that's thrillers, romance, fantasy, historical fiction, or even non-fiction. I was watching this YouTuber Tim DeMoss's video on how to read more books in 2025. I highly recommend it. And someone commented this quote by Naval Ravikant: "Read what you love until you love to read," and I think that sums it up pretty perfectly. When I read 19 books last year, I didn't even have a goal to hit that number or any number. I just wanted to read more, and that's benefited me in so many ways. Now I feel a bit weird when I don't have a book that I'm currently reading, or if I don't have a book lined up to read. So out of the 3 tips I shared, I would say that the last one, to find books that you would actually enjoy, is the most important. Yes, it's obviously really important to make the time to read, and it helps to make it easy for you to just pick up a book. But if you find stories that are really interesting to you, that are exciting, stories that you genuinely love, it's so much easier to carve out the time, and sometimes you'll go out of your way to read. Books are amazing. They literally speak for themselves. Yes, there are plenty of tips that will help you read more, but at the end of the day, the experience that a good book can give you is the best reason to keep reading. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I really enjoyed making it. I hope you have a good day. Bye!